welcome to Racing, Pacing, Chasing. It is time for the Pacing segment, Season 2, Episode 29. I'm Aaron Bain, joined by Rocky Butterworth. Welcome, mate.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Good, mate. Very good. Now,
Good.
we've got a bit to cover tonight. We are here, though, at the General Havelock Hotel, thanks to Jason Fay, General Manager here, one of the most popular pubs right in the CBD, mate. Hutt Street.
Used to be one of the most popular hotels for footy clubs and all the sporting clubs around town. Still a very, very popular hotel, but for...
Great little venue. You come upstairs. It's always busy down in the bottom area.
Yeah, a bit of music going on tonight as well.
You walk up there and you just feel like royalty walking up the stairs, and we're going up to record RPC each week. Great little venue. But anyway, we must also thank the Gawler and Capunda Harness Racing Clubs for their support of the Pacing Show. Also, new supporter, Stephen Norman, part of the Capunda Harness Racing Club, as we well know. But from Allenby Lodge Stud, he will join us next week, I'm being told.
Yep.
New sponsor on board, and we look forward to talking about his number one sire, Major Secret, doing great things for the local breeding industry.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to Steve about Major Secret. He was one of my favourite horses, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be successful with his first crop as well.
No.
Covered, how many did you say?
I thought about 35.
Yeah, so that's pretty good.
We'll check that with Stephen next week. But
Yeah.
anyway, must also thank Billy and his family at Diffusion Agencies on the sleeve now here, Rock. You just got to give him a bit of bicep test, you know. Glows in the night.
Could not be jumping off here, that character.
Our Platinum Program partner. And but, Rocky, we're going to get through tonight's show pretty quickly because we've got a special guest tonight. One that you've pulled out of the archives. He won't like me saying that, but the great Graham Fischer done a fair bit of work for us as well at ABR. And
I asked him what his favourite TV show was, mate. He said the Cisco Kid. That's how old he is.
Never heard of it. You had to the cover, so it is only part one of the part.
Good story, Fish.
Episode, so looking forward to that. So part one tonight. Hang around for that. Certainly very good, but interesting little story there, Fish, isn't it? You know, when he got married and met his wife. Tell me about it. No? He said he won over his in-laws.
I know.
He didn't tell them they were losing a daughter. You know what he told them?
What?
You've gained a journalist.
No, that's not true. He said, you haven't lost a daughter, you've gained a reporter.
Sorry.
You should just ride on with the rhymes.
That's you're the man for it. Anyway, talk about rhyming, right? It's time. People love this segment. You know how the people on the racing show go straight to Tommy's Impact? There's only one part of this show that I reckon most of the 3,000 viewers most weeks watch, and that is rumour or humour.
Well, I hope that's true, mate.
Now I'm going to open up the batting.
Yeah.
Rumour or humour, did you or did you not break a globe offset tonight before we come on at the value of in excess of 4 figures?
I did, but I can tell you why. We've got new production crew now.
Yeah, some of the best lighting I've seen on set.
Yeah. And Lee was working hard, and his partner in crime is over there topless. But what do you expect me to do, mate? I just fell over a cord while she was putting her RPC top on, so any wonder. They still blame me.
Love it.
Sorry, Mary.
She's going to throw stuff at us shortly.
Next week, can you just get dressed before you come? That'll be helpful.
Come on, back on the pot up this business. Rumour or humour, Rocky. Now, this one might cause a few waves last week, or the week before. We had a little intermission short break last week. And, you had a rumour that John the Rat Platten, was SA footy legend, as we all know, with all the hair.
Yep.
He was going to take over the advertising of the finish line. Well, you'd reported that the finishing line had already been marked white. That probably wasn't fully correct.
No, well, it had to be marked white to paint the beautiful face of John Platten.
And you did say that, it could be advertised here now, but why?
Well, the news came out about the fight that's still going on between HRSA and SAHRC, and he heard that racing may not go ahead at Globe Derby in the near future, and he just told them he's not going to risk his investment and his budget of advertising on something that may not be there. So as much as they tried to tell him that they will keep racing at Globe Derby, which of course we hope they do, Rat just decided he didn't want to take that risk and he's pulled out. But it's still up for sale. No question that
So is the TAB logo safe?
No,
Straight out, no.
no way.
Right, okay.
Nope.
Highest bidder wins, they tell me.
That's it.
There's your rumour of humour for the week. So no humour in that story, mate.
No, that's all fact.
Now, this one's a bit of a light-hearted one, surely. There was a letter of warning sent out to our leading stables, you could say.
Yeah, no, this is a very serious story. I was shown the letter on Monday.
Was you?
Yep. And one of my spies in the corridors of power. And it was harshly written too.
Right.
I couldn't believe the tone of the letter. And it was basically saying to the Kingston main camp, led by that buffoon Jayson Adams.
Your mate.
Yeah. that unless they start sharing the love, there's going to be a truckload of free-for-all horses just heading out of town.
Well, free-for-all set up pretty strong this Saturday night, so they haven't taken a...
No, this is the $10,000 race, so...
They have been run for second.
See, this is how it works out there, mate. You bring a nice horse into the state and everyone's really happy. Good on you, Jason. Good on you, Menzies. Good on you, all the rest of the boys.
Kingston main.
Yeah, John for training the horse really well. Nice to see a good horse in the state. But the humour wears out when you win 6 races and then you run a second and you steal $24,000 in prize money from the rest of us. So all of a sudden...
It'll be 30,000 this week.
It'll be 30,000 this week. So all of a sudden what started out as a good news story, the rest of the industry now start to say these blokes are taking the P155.
Yep.
And I reckon in the best interests of harness racing, the restless crowd want action, mate.
Well,
they started sharing the love.
I'll say one thing, mate.
Yes, mate.
Screw the letter up and keep winning, Jace, because it's a good thing for the industry and
it is
better horses to come in.
The only thing that is in our favour, we started the
Where is it?
Cup prize. It's coming in next.
Have you Southern Trophies yet?
It's coming in next week because we're out at Gawler. So we're putting it out there that anybody in the ownership of Ellmer's hoofing it, or hoofing it as they like to say on Sky Channel.
On to make a speech.
I reckon he needs to come in and say a speech and collect the trophy.
Righto.
Because we've shined it up. The others have conceded defeat.
Spoggy's gone to the paddock.
He's gone to the paddock.
Joe's finished. Not finished. Shouldn't say that.
No,
he'll
run second again this week. And
Maverick still.
Maverick, he hasn't been seen since he was added to the trophy list. So, boys, next week, Gawler, one of you coming in to collect the cup. And
early in the season.
It's a mercy rule, mate. They've just gone out of it. So in they come next week, get the beautiful trophy that we've got for them as the king of the state. And worth winning as well. Worth winning. So well done, boys.
Look forward to that.
Look forward to seeing you next week.
Time now for news, brews and barbecues.
Yes.
Righto up, news brought to us by Ranvet, a new partner, Lisa Justice on board, her team, thank you.
Yep.
We'll get her on, we're do a bit of with her later in the year as well. So now news this week, straight off the bat, Lochinvar ride high, the clash is off. They sort of keep dodging each other. $30,000 free for all at Melton this week. Disappointing for harness followers, no doubt. Lochinvar did get beat last week, but I reckon I saw somewhere his personal last mile was in 1:49.5.
Unreal, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Full credit to the winner there, but this week Lochinvar drawn 11 again in a full field of 12, so not going to be the easiest task. Probably a slightly easier race than last week, though.
Yeah, it's a lot easier race, but there's still a lot of witches' hats for him to get around and get to the death or try and find the lead because he won't sit back, I wouldn't have thought. So it'll be a good race for that reason. Where does he go? How quickly can he get around with a full field? Still wins, I'm sure, but would have been nice to see ride high in this race. Yeah, no, certainly. But the Victoria Cup clash looms. Yep. Some talk about cash and flow still floating around, but obviously border restrictions playing a pivotal role in that. Now, Super Saturday this week, another exciting night of racing with the $10,000 races up for grabs. But, it's, the free-for-all will be heading in the one direction, but there's a few open races outside. There's some good races. Yeah. Hasn't been promoted as much as the last one on Facebook, and I thought that was a good opportunity to say, here we are again. Yeah. And it's only, I don't know how long, 6 weeks? Yeah, 4. No, 4. 4 weeks since you cleaned up. No. We haven't got a runner there this week. No runners. Right. Now, some other news? Yeah, well, there was a good marketing ploy a couple of weeks ago by Peter Prophet, who made his stories on his website free to South Australians, or everybody in particular, but sort of focused on South Australia to get people interested and hope that they would then start paying their $20 a month when he only gave the first 4 lines. But he broke a story about the show cause letter, which turns out to be exactly right. But Paul Courts from National Trot Guide took exception to it and said that, you know, he knew about it, but like to get the facts first, and then came out the day after and said yes, that it was right, but he wanted to get his facts right. So to me, I don't know, does it sound like a little bit of your opinion is bigger than mine, or, you know?
That's journalist for you, but we've got a journalist up next with Graham Fischer, part 1 of the 2-part interview. We're looking forward to that. So guys, enjoy you'll sit down and talk to Graham about all things racing and his career, where it's taken.
Park his horse and cart, you reckon?
Then we'll be back straight after that with Leroy the Lizard and our horses to follow for this weekend. Hang around.
Yep. Welcome back to Racing, Pacing, Chasing. I'm lucky enough tonight to have the doyen of racing journalism over the last 30 years, I reckon, Fish. Early 80s or late 70s, you sort of joined the news, but into the 80s, you kicked off into reporting on all sorts of sport, particularly the racing codes. We see you a little bit now out at the trots taking a few photos, and also Gawler races, you do a fair bit out there as well. So we still see you around the place, and it's good to have you in, mate. We've been mates for the last 3 or 4 years now, and I'm certainly keen to start talking about your journey over that time. And you're telling me you're the first greyhound writer in South Australia when you first got going. Was that like? You must have met a few characters then when greyhounds first started kicking off at Angle Park, mate?
Yeah. In fact, the first time I ever went to greyhound racing was at Bolivar, which was the track that they built, which is sort of opposite where HRSA headquarters is now. If you went just across the road, that was where the greyhound track was.
Oh, okay.
And it was non-betting in those days, or no GAB betting, but there was
that takes a fair bit of fun out of it.
Well, yeah, but there was an SP bookie out there. He used to get raided from time to time, but he was good. His name was Roger Legannon, and he had a dog called Leica, which was probably one of the best greyhounds going around in South Australia at that time. And it actually won in Victoria as well. Won a couple of races in Victoria. It's a very good dog.
So was that a straight track or was it?
No. It was a circle track.
Yeah,
circle track. I think it was 515 metres. I think was the thing. But that was good. And then, of course, they introduced greyhound racing up at Whyalla. That was the first place that they had it in South Australia, and we actually used to fly up there in a light plane on a Saturday afternoon, and so that was good. And then eventually they started at Angle Park in 1971.
Yeah. The start of Angle Park, was that through a popularity of greyhounds through the region at Whyalla and Bolivar, or was it already starting to take its place as one of the sports where people could get in for that little bit cheaper, train their own dogs, earn a few dollars along the way as well?
They had a very good committee out at Bolivar, the Adelaide Greyhound Racing Club committee, which Harold Goodwin was the chairman and Howard Ashton was the secretary, general manager, and he did a great job. And it was an up and coming sport, the greyhound racing, and they decided they wanted to move, and they moved down to Angle Park, which was obviously it was in the complex where the Days Road trotting track is.
Yeah.
And sometimes on a Thursday night, we might stay around after the last and see him working the horses on Friday morning.
I remember going there when I first came down to Adelaide the first time. Colin Wachter was a trainer back then, and Barry Wyman from Renmark also had quite a few good dogs, and a couple of mates of mine were friends with the Wymans and got to know the Wachters very well, and it was always a bit of fun to go down there on a Thursday night and try and win a few dollars.
He was a very good trainer, Colin Wachtel, and he bred a lot of good dogs.
He did.
And he was around for many years. He had a twin brother as well.
He did. Yep. That's right. So you move from there, mate. You start covering both meetings of thoroughbreds and trots in the early 80s as a senior reporters when you finally got into that field. You had the likes of Jack Rowe at Wavell, who was for people that don't know, was an absolute legend of thoroughbred riding, and then got into harness racing along the way as well. So he's eventually your boss, I reckon he would have been.
Yes, he
around,
was.
around that stage.
And
so Kevin Sattler as well. He was races mostly than harness. What was it like to spend time early on with the likes of Jack Rowe? Because you obviously went to the races first, then you went to the trots after that, because they used to start around that 7 o'clock, and the action and the crowds of Wavell.
Being, I don't like to live in the past, but to be honest, those days of journalism were some of the best that, they'll never be repeated, because of the fact that when you went to the races, you had to dictate your story back to the office.
Yeah.
So people would watch a race, a journalist would watch a race, they'd get all the details, the betting fluctuations, finishing order, whatever, gone out, done their interview with a winning trainer or jockey or whatever, and they just come back into the press room, pick up a phone, dial a number, and just go with the story. Yeah. Which you'd read in the paper the following day. So,
but there was also 2 editions of the news in those days, Fish, right. So you would have had to get stories back to the news in time for that late Saturday edition of the news, and then the trots, you'd have to get some of them ready for the first edition of the Sunday Mail, and then the second edition after that. So compared to today with the computers and writing virtual stories, you had to ring them through to a copy taker generally, and then get the next race done and try and get that one done as well. But I reckon there were times when you had time to get from, say, Victoria Park back into the office and write your own stories. Well,
there was a good time, because the races, they never went until 5 o'clock. They normally finished 4:30, 20 to 5 would be the latest.
Yeah.
So you were able to get your taxi back to the city, and then we'd have a bit of a debrief at the Strathmore Hotel until the first edition came out. So.
So you got a few of the races a bit wrong, I would have thought. No. Particularly at your age, hanging around Jack Rowe, these sorts of blokes. 2 hours, that had 4 hours on the gas at Morphettville.
I think the riding was better after that.
How many times do you reckon you went from, say, Morphettville Racecourse through the city and out to Globe Derby without some alcohol in the system, mate?
Not that often. Not that often. In fact, I think that was the tonic you needed to give you the second kick to get to the trots.
So you were there for the start of Globe Derby as well, right?
Yes.
So we've gone from Wavell, where the crowds were unbelievable.
Yeah, it was
bookmakers everywhere.
Yep.
Then you go out to Globe Derby, and it would have been another exciting journey at the start of that.
Yes.
Can you tell people how many bookmakers, tote windows, the crowds at the trots when they first moved out to Globe, and then through to the late 80s?
I'd say there'd be the best part of 40 to 50 bookies out there at the start, because where they park in the shed under that cover, the bookies were around three corners of it. The two lengths at the back and one at the sides as well. So there was a lot there, and tote windows. See, tote betting was not always as popular as what it's developed into, because most of the punters were happy to bet with the bookies in those days. That's why there were so many bookies. There wasn't as many tote windows, but they were certainly there. There would have been 20 or 30. They were housed in the shed that was where the turnstiles, where you come in through the turnstiles. So that was the shed there where the tote windows were. So but the bookies, it was just a fabulous atmosphere, because you had people like Graham Silk, who I think most people in harness racing would know, and other punters, and they would belt up and down the length of the bookmakers if they wanted to back a horse, and they'd just go along and have their 100 on or whatever they wanted to, and then they'd go back and settle. But to try and make sure they didn't get their odds knocked off, they were on good enough terms that they'd just go up to the bookie and and say what they wanted, and then they go back and settle.
Well, he was the mentor for the young Frank Borgs and John Bisharas.
Was Frank Borg young once?
He was, yeah.
Was he really?
Thin.
Okay. Thin was interesting.
And that's part one of interview with Graham Fischer. We'll be back next week with part two. Look forward to seeing you then.
Good little interview there, Rock. Always good, Graham.
Yeah, I'm hopeful it'll appeal to everybody. I mean, certainly our generation, not yours, you're another one behind. But I just think the change from Wayville to Globe Derby and the changing crowds and how many bookmakers had it is really interesting for any harness follower. Where
does it end up? Where is it in another 10 years is the question, I've got. So it's an interesting debate.
I hope in 10 years' time there's either a track in the city or Gawler's up in lights and becomes a real home for harness racing.
Now, Leroy.
Yes.
What's happening with the great man? He had a week off.
Yep.
He was left to lick his wounds, you could say, the week before.
Oh, mate, he's getting sillier by the week.
Why? What's happened?
Well, he had that nice win, 3 in a row, I think. He
started a new business.
Yeah, started the new business, Unlimited Erections.
Yep.
And he said he was going to build cubby houses, he was going to build shelter sheds, he was going to do all this sort of stuff.
Dog kennels.
Dog kennels. Well, it's lasted a week.
Why?
Because he thought that Grey Maverick was absolute lay down for a place, and he's put the whole cash flow on Grey Maverick, the place, plus a little bit that he didn't have. And unfortunately, the night it was driven like Gamelite and finished tailed off. So he's now got nothing. And the worst part about it, that bloke Wayne Hill, he put in an order, and Leroy said it's about a 3-story cubby house that this Wayne Hill...
For Noah?
I don't know who it's for, but I mean, he's just showing off. Everyone gets just a nice little cubby house. He's gone the 3-story.
There might be another baby on the way.
Might be another on the way. Might be where he was going to go and live. So anyway, that's only halfway through, and Wayne, you can go and get it if you want, mate, but it's not finished because Leroy's out of business.
I reckon Wayne would be quite handy with the hammer belt and the nails. He'd be able to fix it, finish it.
He probably could.
Yeah. He'd put it on a broomstick at late.
Yes. Yeah. And cost us a couple of bucks on Monday. That's not the story, W. Hill. Anyway, this week, and he's done it before, Leroy, when he's gone out of form or lost his money, he goes back to something that's going to be probably a bit short in the market. But he's just going to have the one bet, and it's in race 1, and he's going for Simon.
Wayne could actually bugger you up here again.
No, he won't.
So Wayne could put Leroy out of a home completely.
By leading on
Manly Mac. If he needs to hand up on Manly Mac.
He does.
Yeah. Does he, though?
Well, I hope he does, for Leroy's sake. I mean, Wayne's going to start... it's not all about him. It's not all about him, mate.
Wayne, if you want your cubby house fixed, and you want your cubby house finished,
hand up.
Get the man back in business. I've spoken to Teresa. She said hand up.
So that's his bet for this week anyway. He thinks that Simon can either sit outside Manly Mac and beat it, or take it on and take the lead off it. So.
Oh, well, there you go. Now, Rock, horses to follow. I love this part each week. You just sort of got a few interests here. So you reckon Solar Sonic back to its best?
Yeah, it was a little bit disappointing last week, but I think it goes straight to the top with Danny.
Back to its best this week, you reckon? Got a big form reversal, was quiet last week.
Yeah.
Up in grade.
Up in grade, but I think it goes straight to the top. Ruthless Armbro will find the fence behind it, and there's your Quinella Forever in race 2.
Done.
Race 3.
Been some heavy money for this horse in recent weeks.
Yeah, and it's drawn poorly again, but it's bursting to win a race, and that's Don't Tell Alice in race 3 for David Smith. Certainly a great each way bet, but I reckon it's just about ready to win. And race 8 is the best race on the program by far in terms of competitiveness and horses coming through with those youngsters. Who's going to win it? I have no idea until
there's a number of chances. I don't reckon you even know then.
Yeah, it's a really, really good race, and it proves your point from a couple of weeks ago as well, mate, that we're just going to take a chance with the 2-year-old races and keep
investing in them.
And eventually, I mean, who knew these 7 horses would line up against each other? You can make a case for maybe 5 of them.
I looked at it when I was going through the fields, and we got a 2-year-old obviously been trialling.
Yeah.
And I went, I wouldn't like to be first up in that.
No.
Because I reckon I could go. I reckon I could run good and run sixth. You know.
Yeah.
And be very happy walking away.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. Cavs have got a couple in, and Chris Nielsen's got Solo Bob going really well. So, and
Good little pool of 2-year-olds coming through. So I think the Southern Cross numbers are going to be tricky there for Southern Cross later in the year. But there's some nice horses that hopefully deserve their true reward later on. Anyway, Rock, that's us done for another week. We've got part 2 of Graham Fisher's interview up next week. We're looking forward to that. Plenty else to cover.
Yep.
We've got the presentation of the Spoggy Ellmer Cup. You're going to award it early.
Yep.
And hopefully someone comes in to collect the prize. Otherwise, you might have to give a speech on behalf of Jayson Adams and Menzies. So thanks, Rock. Thanks for joining us. And as always, thank you to our Platinum Program partner, Air Diffusion Agencies, the Kapunda Harness Racing Club and the Harness Racing Club. We'll see you next week with Stephen Norman as well.